Kira wasn't from around here. Her ship, a mess of sparking wires and dented metal, told that story. Etheria, a planet of swirling pink skies and crystal forests, wasn't on any star chart. Kira, small but tough, with eyes like chipped amethyst, only had one thought: survive. Etheria hummed with strange energy. Plants glowed with internal light. Waterfalls flowed upwards. Kira, clutching a cracked datapad, her only link to home, ventured into the luminous jungle. Food was scarce. Danger lurked everywhere. Giant iridescent insects buzzed with hostile curiosity. Vines, strong enough to crush bone, whipped through the air. Kira, using her wits and a battered energy blade, persevered. She had to. Giving up wasn't an option. Days blurred together. Scars, both physical and emotional, marked Kira's journey. Etheria tested her, broke her down to the barest essentials. But it also revealed a strength she never knew she possessed. A strength born of desperation, yes, but also a fierce will to live. To find her place, even amongst the stars that seemed so impossibly far away. Deep within Etheria's heart lay the crystal caves. Legends whispered of their magic, of ancient beings sleeping within. Driven by a desperate hope, Kira found them, a network of caverns, walls glittering with crystals that pulsed with unknown energy. The air hung heavy, charged with power. Strange symbols etched into the cavern floor glowed faintly. Kira, her hand trembling, reached out to touch one. A jolt shot through her, not painful but startling, like a greeting. Then a sound, a low rumble that shook the very foundation of the caves. Fear, primal and instinctive, gripped Kira. But curiosity, that insatiable thirst for knowledge, held her rooted to the spot. From the deepest shadows a form began to emerge. Scales, harder than any metal, scraped against the cavern floor. Two eyes, burning with molten gold, snapped open. The dragon of the crystal caves, a creature of myth and legend, had awakened, and Kira, the lost girl from another world, found herself standing before it. The dragon was immense, a colossal being that seemed to be a part of the very landscape itself. Its presence was both awe-inspiring and humbling, a reminder of the ancient forces that shaped the world. Its scales shimmered like a galaxy, each one reflecting the light of the surrounding crystals. The colors danced and shifted, creating a mesmerizing display that was almost hypnotic. It didn't roar or lash out as Kira expected. Instead, it moved with a grace that belied its size, each step deliberate and measured. Instead, it observed her with an ancient wisdom in its eyes. Those eyes, deep and knowing, seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. Fear gave way to fascination. Kira found herself drawn to the dragon, unable to look away from its majestic form. Kira, despite the language barrier, sensed no malice from the creature. It felt protective. There was a sense of calm that enveloped her, a feeling of safety in the dragon's presence. She reached out a hand, palm open, in a gesture of peace. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she felt compelled to make contact. The dragon dipped its head, its snout gently nudging her hand. The touch was electric, a connection that transcended words. The touch sent shivers of energy through her. Days turned into weeks as they spent more time together, learning from each other. Kira learned to communicate with the dragon through a blend of telepathy and shared emotions. It was a language of the heart, a connection that went beyond mere words. She called him Stardust, for he seemed to be woven from the very fabric of the cosmos. His presence was a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the mysteries it held. He in turn recognized in her a kindred spirit, a soul as lost and searching as his own. Their bond deepened with each passing day, a friendship forged in the fires of mutual respect and understanding. Kira, with Stardust's help, learned to navigate the dangers of Etheria. The land was treacherous, filled with hidden perils, but together they faced each challenge head-on. She discovered her own connection to the planet's energy, a power that surged within her, mirroring Stardust's own. It was a revelation, a discovery that changed her understanding of herself and the world around her. He became her protector, her teacher, her friend. Stardust guided her, teaching her the ways of the ancient magic that flowed through Etheria, and Kira, in turn, became his voice in the world, his link to the living pulse of Etheria. Together they forged a bond that would change the fate of their world forever. Peace, however, is a fragile thing. It can be shattered in an instant like a delicate glass ornament dropped from a great height. The people of Etheria had known peace for generations, their lives intertwined with the natural beauty and harmony of their world. But such tranquility was not meant to last forever. News reached them of a darkness spreading across Etheria. Whispers of an impending doom travelled from village to village, carried by the wind and the frightened voices of those who had seen the first signs. The skies darkened, and an eerie silence fell over the land, as if the world itself was holding its breath. A being of shadow and malice, calling himself the Usurper, had risen. His presence was like a stain on the fabric of reality, a void that consumed light and hope. He moved through the forests and fields like a wraith, leaving despair in his wake. His eyes glowed with a malevolent fire, and his voice was a whisper that could chill the bravest heart. He craved control, seeking to bend Etheria's energy to his will, to plunge the planet into eternal darkness. Villages lay in ruin, their homes reduced to rubble, their people scattered and broken. The usurper's power was immense, and his ambition knew no bounds. He sought to dominate all life, to make Etheria a kingdom of shadows under his rule. The once vibrant flora withered and died in the wake of the usurper's power. The lush forests and blooming meadows that had once defined Etheria were now barren and lifeless. The very essence of the planet seemed to be draining away, leaving behind a desolate wasteland. The air grew thick with the scent of decay, and the ground cracked and crumbled underfoot. Creatures, twisted and corrupted, became his enforcers. Once gentle animals were transformed into monstrous beings, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. They roamed the land, spreading fear and destruction, enforcing the usurper's will with ruthless efficiency. The people of Etheria could no longer trust the creatures they had once lived alongside in harmony. Etheria, so full of life, now trembled on the brink of destruction. The ground itself seemed to shudder under the weight of the usurper's dark influence. Rivers ran dry, and the once clear skies were perpetually overcast with storm clouds. The very soul of the planet was in peril, and hope was fading fast. Stardust raged against the injustice. The mighty dragon, guardian of Etheria, could feel the pain of the land as if it were his own. His roars echoed through the mountains, a cry of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Stardust's heart burned with a fierce determination to protect his home, but he was bound by ancient magic. He yearned to confront the usurper, to unleash his full might against the encroaching darkness. But the dragon was bound to the crystal caves, his power tied to their energy. The caves were a source of immense magical power, and leaving them would mean risking the very heart of Etheria. Stardust's frustration grew with each passing day as he watched the world he loved fall apart. But the dragon was bound to the crystal caves, his power tied to their energy. The caves were a source of immense magical power, and leaving them would mean risking the very heart of Etheria. Stardust's frustration grew with each passing day as he watched the world he loved fall apart. He could not leave, not without jeopardizing the very heart of Etheria. The ancient magic that bound him was both a blessing and a curse, granting him great power but also chaining him to the caves. Stardust's eyes glowed with a fierce light as he resolved to find another way to fight back. Kira, however, was not bound. The young warrior had come to Etheria by chance, but she had found a purpose and a home among its people. Her spirit was unyielding, and her heart was filled with a burning desire to protect the land she had grown to love. Kira's determination was a beacon of hope in these dark times. The bond she shared with Stardust, forged in trust and shared experiences, allowed her to channel his power, to become a conduit for his strength. Together they formed a partnership that was both powerful and unique. Kira could feel the dragon's energy coursing through her veins, giving her the strength and courage to face any challenge. She would face the usurper, a beacon of hope against the encroaching shadow. Kira knew that the battle ahead would be difficult and dangerous, but she was ready. With Stardust's power flowing through her, she felt invincible. The usurper's darkness would not prevail, not as long as she stood to fight. This was her fight now, a fight for Etheria, for Stardust, for the future of the planet that had become her unexpected home. Kira's resolve was unbreakable, and her spirit shone brightly in the face of the looming darkness. The fate of Etheria rested on her shoulders, and she would not falter. The battle for the soul of the planet had begun. The final confrontation took place in the heart of the usurper's domain, a once vibrant forest now twisted and corrupted. The trees, once lush and green, were now gnarled and blackened, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The air was thick with a palpable sense of dread, and the ground was littered with the remnants of a once thriving ecosystem, now reduced to ash and decay. He towered over Kira, a being of pure darkness, his laughter echoing like thunder through the ruined landscape. His eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and his presence seemed to suck the very life out of the surroundings. Every step he took left a trail of darkness, a stark contrast to the light that Kira embodied. But Kira did not falter. Stardust's power surged through her, surrounding her in an aura of starlight. Her eyes shone with determination, and her heart beat with the rhythm of 1,000 stars. She could feel the energy coursing through her veins, a gift from the cosmos itself, and she knew that she was the only one who could stand against the usurper. She fought with the fury of a cornered animal, her energy blade flashing, her movements a blur of speed and grace. Each strike was precise, each movement calculated. The forest around them seemed to come alive with the energy of their battle, the very air crackling with power. Kira's blade cut through the darkness, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in despair. The usurper, caught off guard by her ferocity, found himself on the defensive. His attacks, once unstoppable, now seemed clumsy and desperate. He had underestimated Kira, and now he was paying the price. The balance of power had shifted, and for the first time, the usurper felt fear. He hurled blasts of shadow energy, but Kira dodged and weaved, her connection to Etheria's power shielding her from harm. Each blast that missed her struck the ground, leaving craters of darkness in its wake, but Kira was relentless, her movements fluid and unstoppable. She was a force of nature, a living embodiment of the light that the usurper sought to extinguish. With a final, desperate attack, the usurper lunged. His form seemed to blur as he gathered all his remaining strength for one last strike. The air around him crackled with dark energy, and his eyes burned with a fierce determination. This was his last chance, and he knew it. Kira, drawing upon every ounce of Stardust's power, unleashed a blinding wave of energy. The light was so intense that it seemed to pierce the very fabric of reality, banishing the darkness that had taken root in the forest. The wave of energy surged forward, unstoppable and all-consuming. It struck the usurper with the force of a supernova, his form dissolving into motes of darkness. The energy tore through him, unraveling his very essence. For a moment he seemed to hang in the air, suspended between existence and oblivion, and then with a final echoing scream, he was gone. The battle won, Kira collapsed, the weight of the fight leaving her drained. Her body ached, and her mind was a whirlwind of exhaustion and relief. She had done it. She had defeated the usurper, but the cost had been high, and she could feel the toll it had taken on her. As she looked upon the ravaged landscape, now slowly beginning to heal, she felt a new kind of power flowing through her, not Stardust's, but her own. The trees, once twisted and corrupted, were beginning to show signs of life. Small shoots of green were pushing through the ash, a testament to the resilience of nature. And Kira knew that she too had been changed by the battle. Etheria had chosen her. She could feel the connection deep within her soul, a bond that went beyond mere power. It was a calling, a destiny that she had embraced. She was no longer just a warrior, she was a guardian, a protector of a world that had become her own. Word of her victory spread like wildfire. The people who had lived in fear for so long now had a reason to hope. They gathered in the villages and towns, sharing stories of the battle, of the Star Queen who had saved them. The news travelled quickly, carried on the winds of change. The people freed from the usurper's tyranny hailed her as their saviour, their Star Queen. They came from all corners of Etheria to see her, to thank her, to pledge their loyalty. Kira, once a lost girl from another world, now stood as a beacon of hope and strength. And so the lost girl from another world found her place, not on a throne of gold, but in the hearts of a people she had sworn to protect. She had found a family, a purpose, and a home. The journey had been long and arduous, but it had led her to where she was meant to be. Etheria was her home now, and she its queen, forever bound to its fate. She looked out over the forest, now bathed in the soft light of dawn, and felt a sense of peace. The battle was over, but her journey was just beginning. As the Star Queen, she would face many challenges, but she knew that she would never be alone. Etheria was with her, and she was with Etheria now and always.